Week 25 began in Minnesota, where the MLS All-Stars ran out 2-1 winners against the best from Liga MX. But our focus is fixed upon the stories from the weekend's 14 league fixtures. And it's the Eastern Conference up first. Destination, Drive Pink Stadium.
Pushing the Herons towards the playoff line.
It's Gonzalo Higuain!
Miami's main man had rediscovered his golden touch.
The finish is absolutely beautiful.
Could he help topple the champions, who hadn't won since losing their top scorer?
Rejection with the boots. Simply sensational. Short tank.
Commentary comes from Dan Roebuck.
Oh, this is Talles Magno. Wonderful run. Oh, the finish just off. He did everything right. He knows he should have scored. The first touch looked to be okay. Excellent through ball. Took it around Drake Callender, but could only find the side netting. Chance gone. It's a good-looking ball. This is Rodriguez, who will turn! Oh, he's hit the woodwork! Thiago! So unlucky. Does so well. This one cannons off the woodwork. Gabby Pereira's placed the ball. It is Maxi Morales to the far post. Shano will knock it back. This is Talles Magno! Wonderfully worked. Well, he missed a chance earlier in the game, but he takes this one, and it was harder. Maxi Morales to Shano. The touch and control from Talles Magno, and an accurate finish into the corner. Wonderfully worked set piece. New York City lead Miami by 1-0. Duke. This is Pozuelo! That's a wonderful strike! Into Miami at level. Wonderful approach play. And Alejandro Pozuelo scores his first goal for his new club. The 1-2 with Duke here. It's a clever ball. Lets it come across his body. Power from Pozuelo and real placement as well. That's unstoppable. Maxi Morales, Talles Magno. Space here for Acevedo. It's low, and the flick from Rodriguez. Was he brought down second time around? This is Gabby Pereira, and eventually it's Thiago Andrade that finds the top corner, and New York City FC are in front again. Terrific pressure from New York City FC. Low ball in from Acevedo. Rodriguez, I thought he was brought down. It fell to Thiago Andrade, and he fired it into the corner. And when it just flicked out here to Thiago Andrade, he made no mistake. Vasiliev nodded down here for Yedlin. Was he caught edge of the penalty area? Play continues for now. Prodded away. Giammotta keeps it in. Flicked on towards Higuain. Flick through for Lassiter! Wonderful turn and strike. And Inter Miami are back on terms at 2-2. Well, Sean Johnson isn't happy. Miami fans don't care, because the champions are dancing to the Florida beat now. Giammotta. Pozuelo. Click forward here towards Higuain, who takes it down! Wonderful stop, Johnson! Unbelievable save! Sean Johnson with a remarkable stop to deny the Argentine. Well, that's a little loose here, and Inter Miami can pounce, and they do! Wonderfully done. That man again. Pozuelo strikes, and Inter Miami lead by 3-2. Dereliction of duty defensively from Alfredo Morales, and Pozuelo on hand to fire beyond Sean Johnson to give Inter Miami a 3-2 lead.
We treated today as the last game of our season against Toronto. It'll be the last game of our season. We've got to treat every game as the most important. We can't look too far ahead, and we've just got to concentrate on what we do and our own performance levels, and I was super proud.
Would Florida also get the better of New York at Red Bull Arena, with Orlando City the away team? The Lions had won comfortably when the two sides met in the semi-finals of the US Open Cup, and Facundo Torres put them on course for a second win against the Red Bulls in 2.5 weeks. The Red Bulls appear to be wilting somewhat. They failed to score for the second game running when Lewis Morgan's effort flashed narrowly over. Gerhard Struber's men still in the playoff places, but fans must be getting nervous.
The Philadelphia Union had some daylight at the top of the East, but knew that Chicago's hunger levels would be high, with a playoff place still in their sight. The early feast for the eyes was Daniel Gazdag's composure as he swept the hosts into a first-half lead. And the Union doubled up on that advantage before the break. There shouldn't really have been a problem for Gaga Slanina, but the goalkeeper dropped the ball onto the boot of a grateful Jack Elliott, a blemish on an otherwise exceptional season for the 18-year-old. But the Fire looked re-energised after the restart. Xherdan Shaqiri teed up Chris Mueller, and remember, this is a Chicago team who'd collected 13 points from the last 15 available. It's just the side they were facing were in great condition too.
Save, it's loose! Carranza! Goal!
It was 5 wins in a row for the Union before last week's defeat to Cincinnati, and that now appeared merely a blip. 3 became 4 late on as Corey Burke played his part off the bench. Subaru Park still yet to see a Philadelphia defeat in 2022.
CF Montreal are among Philadelphia's leading challengers in the East, but fell behind early in Houston.
Ferreira, yes! Spectacular! It's Route 1.
Sebas Ferreira benefiting from Hector Herrera's pass, but Montreal getting more and more from the fit-again Georgi Mihailovic. His dynamic run drawing a naive foul from Steve Clark, allowing a former Dynamo player the chance to level things up. Rommel Kyoto finding the net for the 12th time in MLS this season. Coming into this one 5 games unbeaten, Montreal were soon in front.
It's a shot that's a finish. What a spectacular goal from Alistair Johnston.
2-1 in the 28th minute, but a frantic first half had more to come. Defender Daniel Steres showing the instincts of a striker to score his first in Houston colours, 2-2. And the rush of goals looked set to continue when Montreal were awarded a second penalty just before half-time. Memo Rodriguez blocking Johnston's shot, but using his arm to do so. The referee stuck to his original call, but Kyoto could not repeat his successful formula. So 2-2 as the second half began, and a frenzied crowd would have reached fever pitch had Ferreira put Paulo Nagamura's side back in front. A massive moment for a Houston side trying to snap a 3-game losing streak, and Montreal would make them pay.
Lapalainen trying to break through and scores.
Montreal 3-2 winners and now 6 unbeaten.
6 places, but just 4 points between FC Cincinnati and Atlanta United. And it was the team outside the playoff spots causing early havoc. Thiago Almada giving Pat Noonan's team a warning sign of what was to come. The midfielder then produced a thing of beauty to get every member of the Five Stripes off their seats. It was hardly worth sitting down again. Marcelino Moreno's hit would have been truly special had it not been for that pesky woodwork again. What Cincinnati had to their advantage, though, was a prolific finisher. One chance was all Brandon Vazquez needed. That was number 15 in a magical season. And suddenly, it was the host showing the sort of swagger that saw them beat the Union last week.
There on the header, Brenner! It ends up in the back of the net!
After the restart, that same crossbar was making a scene again. This time it foiled Cincinnati, and specifically Alvaro Barreal, who'd have sympathy from a few in Atlanta colours too as he trotted back into position. And then last week's match winner against Seattle was the Five Stripes saviour again.
Gutman is there. Gutman equalizes.
To make it worse, Andrew Gutman spent 2 seasons with FC Cincinnati and never scored for them. It would have been quickly forgotten about had Rocco Rios Novo not been so vigilant. A point very much preserved.
The atmosphere in Toronto once again spoke of expectation rather than current league position. They took the lead against Portland through Jonathan Osorio, his 4th in 4 MLS games in this unbeaten sequence since the debuts of both Federico Bernardeschi and Lorenzo Insigne. The latter a well-groomed whisker away from making it 2 just before the hour. But the Timbers had not been beaten since the end of May. A world-class touch from Sebastian Blanco set up Jose Carlos Van Rankin to lower the volume at BMO Field. But not for long. Having scored in the win at Nashville last time out, Insigne was about to deliver at his new home.
Lorenzo Insigne trying to get on it. It's Lorenzo Insigne! It's Toronto back in front. And El Magnifico scores his first in front of the home fans here at BMO Field.
One glance at the Eastern Conference standings tells you TFC still have a way to go, but something potent appears to be brewing. Ayo Akinola couldn't quite pop the cork, but Bernardeschi would.
Bernardeschi from distance! Bernardeschi adds another one to his tally.
Toronto still believes.
And TFC's surge in form will be making teams like New England sweat. They've got enough traffic to navigate past already if they're to get into the top 7. Carlos Hill's first half goal came against a DC United team who are about the only ones in the East that you'd be comfortable writing off for the playoffs. And it should have been a cosier night for the Revs. Hill had already done the hard work, but then hit the post. Still, I'm sure Bruce Arena eventually forgave his match winner.
To the Western Conference and Q2 Stadium, where second-placed Austin FC welcomed bottom side Sporting Kansas City. Chris Wise, watch this one.
It's Tommy who hits it, Stuver's lost it, and it's popped in by Fontas. The dreams start for SKC, and the unlikely source of a goal. Fontas with his first in almost 2 years. Susi. Espinosa took it beautifully, and Stuver made a sharp save, and it's forced in from Agada. How did he squeeze that in? And where are all these SKC goals coming from? They're 2-0 up at Austin. William Agada getting it through the crowds. For Gundes, and Cascante, and off the line and then Ring trying to get to it. Lifted back in by Fagundes, down by Sweat, hit by Gallagher, it's got in! The response that Verde and Black wanted. Gallagher has hit that so sweetly. Austin 1, SKC 2. Susi with pace as well. Now Tommy, that might be a penalty, it is a penalty. Ethan Finley, the offender. Right in front of the referee's eyes as well. So, Johnny Russell for 3-1. 4 goals last week for SKC, 3 tonight at Austin. They have their mojo back. Very calmly done by Russell too. Gundez's delivery is Matt Marine getting something on it. Back towards Huson. Driussi and Cascante. Maybe Austin aren't done, we've seen this before. Never really effectively dealt with by SKC. Husen's present, Driussi's ball, Cascante's reactions. O2 Stadium alive again. As far as Felipe helping it back in. Huijsen! That's a fabulous finish. Danny Huijsen makes it 3-3, and SKC can hardly believe it. Just about keeping him onside. The finish is something to marvel. Oh, it gets better with every watch from Danny Huijsen. Lifted in towards Finley. Driussi wins the game in stoppage time. The main act is Austin's rescue act. Another scarcely believable evening for Austin. The king of the comeback. It's finished Austin 4, SKC 3.
Obviously, it's pretty euphoric. You've flipped the game from being down 3-1. I mean, we put them under a ton of pressure. Obviously, they're doing everything they could to stretch the game out. And you know, in the end, we take the time and extra time and finish the game off.
Starting the weekend 6 points ahead of Austin at the top of the West, LAFC showed few signs of slowing down against Charlotte FC.
Woo! Jesus Murillo breaks the deadlock.
The opening goal coming early in a second half where not much went right for the visitors.
And it's an open netter for Sifu. We know his name.
The man also known as Jose Cifuentes was clearly having fun. Dropping deeper to set up Carlos Vela, LAFC moved 3-0 up and out of sight. This was a side resting both Giorgio Chiellini and Gareth Bale. Frighteningly, perhaps, there's more to come.
Hollings had to let it run through. Here's Escobar. Precision from LAFC! Clinical!
The victory would be a club record 6th in succession for the Western Conference leaders, while Charlotte's evening was summed up by the concession of a 5th, an own goal by Anton Walks. While their dreams fade somewhat, LAFC's are getting easy to picture.
Across LA, could the Galaxy match their rivals' 5-goal haul? The early signs were promising.
Grandsir fires, he scores! And that'll help things out.
They needed that intervention. Greg Vanney's team had lost 5 of their last 6 in MLS, though Vancouver were proving to be an ideal opponent. Ranko Veselinovic's handball gave Chicharito the chance to do something cheeky. The Mexican now into double figures for the 2nd season running. And new showpiece signing Ricky Puig was watching the first half goal show from the stands. Victor Vázquez's finish was part of many moments that would have caught the former Barcelona midfielder's eye. You just have to hope that he was looking away for the bit when the Galaxy defence gave the Whitecaps a path back into the game. Ryan Gold profiting. Vancouver's flicker of excitement didn't last long though.
Grandsir settles, fires the goal, score! And that's how you answer that.
Samuel Grandsir had twice as many goals in 28 minutes as he'd managed all season. 4-1 at half-time, 4-2 when St Ricketts nudged in before teammate Christian Dahomey then got needlessly involved in a scuffle to get the ball back. He was booked and shortly afterwards got another yellow card for clattering into Julian Araujo. Every time Vancouver had some momentum, they were seemingly disrupting their own flow. The visitors became stretched with seconds to go and conceded again. Substitute Efrain Alvarez's tidy finish ensured the LA Galaxy scored 5 goals in MLS for the first time since 2016. Odd that they should pull it off on the night their city rivals did the same.
Ahead of the Galaxy in the West, but some way off the top 2, FC Dallas started quickly against San Jose. Jesus Ferreira, fresh from the All-Star game, on target for the 13th time this season. The tremorous Earthquakes' defence was soon punctured for a second time. Marco Farfan celebrating more wildly, on account of his first ever goal in MLS. But the relief was more widespread. Dallas hadn't scored more than once in front of the home fans for more than 3 months. Ferreira made it 3-0 just before half-time to all but secure the points. And the best of the bunch was still to come, signed by Alan Velasco.
Velasco, and he's got the fourth tonight for FC Dallas. Velasco, golazo!
The Quakes were well beaten, but do score more than most, and Jeremy Ebobisse struck one of this year's finest consolation goals. But it's Dallas who were celebrating a 4-1 win.
Only a couple of points separated Minnesota United from their host Nashville, though the Loons have had more about them in recent weeks. Luis Amarilla had scored 3 goals in his last 2 games for Adrian Heath's team, who was back to a more accustomed role after taking charge of the MLS All-Star team recently. His goalkeeper Dane St Clair was named MVP in that game, and Nashville's CJ Sapong was the latest to find out that confidence was still high. Gary Smith's team have lost their way in the last month and were without a win in 5 games, including 2 defeats here at Jodis Park.
Fragapane running in, Fragapane scores! Minnesota taking the lead.
So how would Nashville respond to the latest setback? Well, how they normally do, with their bit of quality.
Mukhtar waiting for it, it's in! Nashville have tied the game!
Hani Mukhtar doesn't need introducing, but Minnesota's new Paraguayan fullback probably does. Nashville know all about him now, though.
Alan Benitez, just his 4th appearance since signing for him weeks ago, and Minnesota retake the lead.
And this time, it was something they didn't relinquish.
A place behind Minnesota in the standings, Real Salt Lake were back in Seattle and seemed to have fallen behind to the returning Raul Ruiz-Diaz. The Peruvian starting for the first time in more than a month because of a troublesome hamstring injury, but denied a goal by an offside unearthed on review. RSL had famously won at Lumen Field in last season's playoffs without registering a shot on goal. But Sergio Cordova made sure that if they were to win here again, it would be in more orthodox fashion. In the second half, Seattle pushed for a way back.
Back for Rusnak. He's closed there. Rusnak! Against his former club. The Sounders are level.
But as soon as Albert Rusnak had equalised, RSL moved back in front. Andrew Brody stunning the home crowd. Seattle still outside the playoff places and unable to find a way back.
Driven cross. Madrando is up for! And how did that stay out? 2 Sounders at the far post.
Time running short for the Sounders.
The name Jazi Zardes was everywhere before the cross-conference game between Colorado and Columbus. It was less than 4 months ago that he left the crew for the Rapids. But maybe the focus should have been on Cucho, who now has 6 in 8 since he moved to Ohio. But the headline writers thought they had their story when the forward who won MLS Cup with Columbus in 2020 lashed in. Zardes was still making up his mind whether to celebrate the goal or not, and then had the decision taken out of his hands anyway by the assistant referee. The trading of first-half blows in Commerce City wasn't over, though. Diego Rubio's header bounced off the raised hand of Steven Moreira, and the referee was happy to answer questions about what he'd seen. Many wondered whether Zardes would take the penalty. Instead, it was Rubio who steered in his 12th goal of 2022, more than in any of his other 6 seasons in MLS.
Colorado stayed 10th in the West after that draw, whilst the Galaxy are the biggest movers, up 3 places to 6th. The top 5 were also all victorious.
In the East, both Florida clubs have climbed above the playoff line. Orlando are up to 6th, Miami into 7th, and Montreal are now 2nd, 5 points behind the leaders, Philadelphia.
we leave you with the past 3 MLS MVPs. And further evidence why this man is a front runner for the 2022 award.
That was written in the stars, and he is a superstar.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.